July 18th meeting of the Richland County Board. Convened here at, this is a wonderful facility, by the way. Thank you so much to the management, Tom and Amy of the Phoenix Center. It's a wonderful place for us to meet, and it allows public to be present, and everyone's comfortable. Mr. Kalish, would you call the roll, please?
Carroll. Murphy Lopez.
Here.
Brewer.
Here.
Seep.
Here.
McKee.
Here.
Renish.
Here.
Luck.
Here.
Manny. Gotchel.
Here.
Glassburner.
Here.
Rudersdorf. Gentis.
Here.
Turk.
Here.
Cosgrove.
Here.
Frank.
Here.
Severson. Present. Williamson.
Here.
Cooey.
Here.
Fleming.
Here.
Voice. And McGuire.
Here.
You have a quorum with 20 present.
Thank you. Tonight we have Pastor Tom Pullman of the Grandview Church, who will lead us in an invocation, followed by Clerk Kalish, who will lead us in the pledge.
Before we pray, I just want to say thank you for your willingness to serve our county in the various ways in which you do. It's greatly appreciated. So again, I just want to say thank you for serving. Would you please join me as we pray? Lord Heavenly Father, we thank you for today. We thank you, Father, for the opportunity to gather together. I pray, Father, that you bless this meeting, bless the men and the women that are serving in the various positions on this board. I pray, Father, that you would bless them. I pray, Father, that as you have called them to serve in the area in which they serve, I pray, Father, for your blessing to be over them. We pray, Father, for your wisdom to be bestowed upon them. I pray, Father, that you give them insight and direction, what would be best for those that live in our communities, that live in our county. And I pray, Father, that again, that you would just go before them in this meeting, give them wisdom and direction. I pray, Father, that you bless those that were unable to be here tonight for this meeting as well, that you be with them. And Father, we just ask a blessing over our county as a whole. We pray, Father, that you would just bring healing to those, even with they're still struggling with COVID and various things. We just pray, Father, that you would just bless our county as a whole. Give it prosperity and blessing. And we ask this tonight in your name, in Jesus' name. Amen.
And
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
we have a 28-point agenda tonight. And would you scan it and give me a motion to approve, please? Motion by Turk, seconded by Rudersdorf. All those in favor of approving the agenda signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? We have an agenda. I'm going to exercise chairman discretion here, and we're going to move item number 17 will appear right after item number 6 in the, and that's Clay, you have somewhere, and looks like your guest is with you possibly, so to go, and so we'll get your business on as soon as we can. Takes us to number 6, which is a recognition of Richland County personnel for services rendered during the COVID-19 pandemic. And
Number 5, minutes.
oh, I'm sorry. First, we have to approve the minutes of last week or last month, 2 weeks ago. I don't remember. was a long time ago. Did you look them over? What do you think? McKee, seconded by Glassbrenner. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, we have minutes approved. Number 6, the recognition of Richland County personnel for services rendered during the COVID-19 pandemic. We do not have a resolution here because the resolution was acted on at the prior meeting. However, tonight, we have official recognition in the form of plaques and official recognition by the vice chairman and the chairman in the presentation of those plaques. So if Mr. Murphy Lopez would join me over there and we would call up, well, yeah, I guess we will have to read that, or otherwise they.
For our personnel present today, if you could come forward, for first recognizing those who made significant contributions, that would be, Amber Birch, Amber Morris, I'm just gonna go first names, Amber, Angie, Becky, Brady, Brandy, Carlene, Cassie, David, Deb, Jade, Jamie, John, Kathy, Kelly, Keisha, Megan, Nicole, Nikki, Sarah, Savannah, Stephanie, Tammy, Teresa, Terry, Tony, and Veronica. If you can all make your way up here to the front of the room.
Everybody can file.
So,
These awards are given in appreciation of those who made significant contribution to the public health emergency response to the community during the COVID-19 pandemic, March 2020 through March 2022. Presented today by Richland County Board Chair and Vice Chair. Our first recipient here tonight, Amber Birch. Second recipient here tonight, John Heinen. And our third recipient here tonight, David Yardley. Perfect. And then we'll have 2 more awards to hand out here tonight. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, again, a nice round of applause for these folks. In addition, tonight, we'd also like to award 2 of our leaders here that are with us. Darren, who is in the back here. Darren, if you could come forward. And then Rose, if you could edge over to the left side of your screen on the board, that would be great. These are given today for your exemplary leadership, dedication, and significant contribution to the public health emergency response to the community during the COVID-19 pandemic, March 2020 through March 2022, presented today by Richland County Board Chair and Vice Chair. Darren Gudgeon.
and remember that they almost drove the school bus for the testing site?
And Rose Cahoot.
Congratulations, Rose. Thank you.
Mr. Chair says congratulations, Rose, and thank you.
Number 7, Well, no, number 17. A resolution relating to PSAP grant funding for one public safety answering point per county. Mr. Kalish.
Okay, this will be resolution number 22-75. Now therefore be it resolved by the Richland County, that Richland County does hereby designate the Richland County Public Safety Answering Point for the purposes of 2019 Wisconsin Act 26 grant dollars or federal opportunities. This resolution is being offered to you by the Public Safety Standing Committee.
Thank you. You've heard the resolution. What's your pleasure? Luck, seconded by Turk. Discussion? Sheriff Porter?
So this resolution is a step that is required for us to apply for a grant to receive funds for our 911 system. So mapping that could enhance our 911. So just the first step of resolution.
Thank you. All right, helps in our mapping, 911 mapping. When you send people out, we gotta know where they are. Someone today asked me, well, why is this little road here named such and such? Did anyone ever live there? I said, no, but they could live there and we needed a name. All the little town roads had to have names way back when, because you couldn't just tell them to go to the old Brown farm, take a left, and then take the second right past the turnip seed house. You couldn't do that anymore. So, that's just, I'm giving you a history lesson you don't need, I'm sorry, but just thought of it today. Anyway, what's your pleasure? Do you, if you want to see this pass, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Sheriff, did you want to stay for the next one, which would be a resolution commemorating the retirement of Dane Knable from the Sheriff's Department? Mr. Kalish.
Resolution number 22-73. Now therefore be it resolved by the Richland County Board of Supervisors that the county board hereby expresses its sincere appreciation for the 25 years of dedicated service of Dane Knable, and the board wishes him a long and happy retirement. Be it further resolved that the county clerk shall send a copy of this resolution to Mr. Knable at his home address, which the current county clerk has on file. And be it further resolved that this resolution shall be effective immediately upon its passage and publication. This resolution is being offered to you by the Public Safety Standing Committee.
Thank you. You've heard the resolution. What's your pleasure? Mr. Frank, seconded by Mr. Severson. Certainly well deserved. Any comments, Sheriff?
I think you summed it up there. It's certainly well deserved. Definitely a person that I have looked up to often in my career. So he deserves this recognition.
Always has a smile and always seems happy to see you. So. All right. All those in favor of this resolution signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? The resolution is adopted. Number 8, an ordinance amending Richland County zoning ordinance number 5. Mr. Kalish.
All right, this will be ordinance 22-4. Richland County's zoning ordinance number 5, as amended to date, is hereby further amended as follows. Section 2, entitled Zoning Map and District Boundaries, subsection D, entitled Agricultural and Residential District AR, of subsection 5, entitled Uses Authorized by the Conditional Permit, is hereby amended by adopting the following underlying language. Section B, recreational rental / tourist home. Item number 3, section 2, entitled Zoning Map and District Boundaries, subsection E, entitled Single Family Residential District R1, subsection 3, entitled Uses Authorized by Conditional Use Permit, is hereby amended by adopting the following underlying language. Section S, recreational rental / tourist home. In item number 4, section number 2, entitled zoning map and district boundaries, subsection F, entitled single family residential district R2, subsection 3, entitled uses authorized by conditional permit, is hereby amended by adopting the following underlined language: recreational rental and tourist home. This ordinance shall be effective on July 19 of 2022 and is being offered to you by the Land and Zoning Standing Committee.
Heard the language of the ordinance. What's your pleasure?
Am I on?
Well, are you making a motion?
No, I'm making a motion that we take this back to committee. I voted for it, and I'd like to have more discussion back in committee. Can I do that now?
Motion's not before us yet.
Okay,
Okay, Mr. Renish, why don't you second it, Linda, so we can talk?
okay.
All right, seconded by Gentis. Okay, I'm gonna ask for an explanation before we get deeper into the discussion, so. Mr. Bindle, if you could tell us what's going on here, and then maybe Melissa could add something too.
So it was pointed out to me by an attorney that the specific use of recreational rental was not in these districts as a conditional use permit. So that's why they're being added to each zoning district that are allowed. So it'd be done by conditional use permits.
Would this throw everything open in the county?
If they are zoned, then they have the ability to apply for the application for conditional use for recreational rental.
Would this then go to the township?
So once they make an application in the township, we request at the zoning department that they go to the township to give approval for applying at county level, because if the town denies it, and they're going to pay for the application. So there will be a hearing at the town level for the use. Prove at the town level, when they, town level, there'll be a hearing at the town level.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
so
Yes, Ms. Luck.
what we were trying to do with this language is we only had for our conditional use permit, conditional use permit language, we did not have recreational rental tourist home in 2 of our 4 types of zoning. And all we are doing with this resolution is putting that language into each of our different residential type of zoning districts, I should say.
So this is like Airbnb?
Correct.
Is that what
So
we're talking
this
about?
is not approving any particular property to be able to be an Airbnb. In order for someone to do that, they need to apply for a conditional use permit, which would then go to the townships, but also would come back to the zoning committee, where we would go through the conditional use permitting process. And at that point, there are places where we can put additional restrictions on what they can or cannot do it. There are also all property owners who are around the property owner who's putting in the conditional use permit request are notified, so they would be publicly notified to be able to come to that meeting and be able to air their concerns at that time.
So property owners would have the ability to say yay or nay, we don't like it, or?
Right, they would go to their town board and would come before the county board. They have 2 opportunities to speak.
Okay, I'm gonna call on Linda Gentis.
Okay, I agree with Melissa and everyone. I'm not totally against this, but I think we haven't really discussed all the actual issues that go around this. And I think it would work better in committee, so I'm just suggesting that.
Mr. Severson.
Mr. Chairman, we have townships such as Ithaca and Rockbridge in their own zoning. This kind of passed through our county board. Does this affect them? So if they make the decision to pass that, we don't agree with that. Does that stick?
I'll have you direct that question to Mr. Bindle.
Rockbridge is their own zoning, so they have their own jurisdiction. This would probably go in the township that have own zoning. For Rockbridge, if would not be approved or so.
Okay, so I guess it's still up to them. Mr. C.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have a couple of questions. I was confused about whether this is a private or a public road. They say it's a private road. Is it a public
Well,
road?
now you're speaking specifically of the Jaeger Lane,
Yes.
and this is not concerning that. This is merely a change in the ordinance. So, but go ahead.
All right, that's fine, thank you.
Yes,
So, thank you. So how are the recreational rental tourist homes being handled now? What's the process now and how is this affecting and changing what? Okay.
anyone? Mr. Bindle, Ms. Luck?
Currently, they've been being passed. Allowed during the old portion, there's certain as recreation. Because when we changed the zoning ordinance for farmland preservation, that's when we put in there. The ag residential, there's language that tells us we're in farm business. It just says anything other than the family farm business is all that use. So R1 has a use of bed and breakfast. I've been told that as a similar use to recreation, more uses still aren't there to be. That's where we're kind of getting into trouble of bed and breakfast versus there in place, everything. Typically saying recreation rental. Bed and breakfast.
And I would, personal observation, I'm sure that a lot of these, you didn't ask. No one said I couldn't do it, so I'm doing it,
There's been about, I'd say around 10, like, healthy recreational rental.
right?
Like, we would have to have more personnel staff go out there, and websites for bed and breakfasts and all that.
Correct.
Yeah,
Ms. Luck, any comment additional? Okay. Mr. Severson?
Would Supervisor Gentis be able to, I guess, explain why she will propose this? And more clarification, I guess.
Go ahead, Ms. Gentis.
Yeah, I'm on. I think we just need to review what other conditions we can put on different tourist rooms, and I think we didn't discuss that. So I just wanted us to have more discussion on that.
Are you making a motion to, what would it be? What would the correct postpone?
Well, I was making a motion to send it back to committee, but again, I'm
Well-
not sure how you did.
Mr. Chair, it could either be a motion to postpone indefinitely if there's a question that's being raised, or there is a specific motion to refer to committee if that's what Supervisor Gentis is trying to accomplish.
Okay, and that was Mr. Wendell, our park council. It's observing COVID protocol. Yes,
Mr. Chairman, I really think we're just overthinking this. All this is simply these resort tourist homes are not recognized anywhere in our ordinance except in ag forest, ag residential. So they're not recognized in R1, R2, or any of the other things. So realistically, somebody on, let's just say, Yeager Lane has recreational land or residential can do anything without, as long as they've classified as this, they can do whatever they want. So to actually protect these neighbors that are concerned next door, we need to put it in the other categories, the other zoning districts, so that it has to go through additional use process. That's really all it is.
okay,
Mr. Chair, Melissa,
yes, Ms. Luck.
I just want to add that the concerns that Supervisor Dentist, I don't disagree that we probably do need to have some more deeper discussions, but I think those are appropriate when the conditional use permit applicants come forward. That's the point at which we can start evaluating what conditions we want to put on that permit.
Are the Straczynskis here? I thought so. I'm gonna let you make a little comment here, okay? And we've certainly had enough public comment lately, so since you made the trip here, we're talking about it, go ahead.
I gave a little also comment.
Well, you got 2 minutes, so minute apiece.
very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much for hosting. Mark Stravinsky, my wife Bonnie, neighbor Will go back. This is old news, it's a motion, we've got a zoning, allowing recreational rentals in both R1 and R2. This motion
Keep
received,
the mic up, we can't hear you.
this motion received little discussion and passed unanimously. The vote really affects us in our neighborhood of 14 properties because we live on a private dead-end gravel road. Our goal has always been owner occupancy. This proposed change to zoning really affects the whole county and affects all the folks, both present and future, who want to come to Richland County, out all the headaches and costs associated with urban areas. We're here to represent homeowners countywide that would prefer not to see their R1 and R2 neighborhoods fill up with recreational rentals such as VRBO and Airbnb. It's a huge trend right now. Many of the absentee landlords have recreational rental. In some parts of the country, the majority of homeowners are absentee. Richland County is an area full of natural beauty, and I'm afraid without careful thought out growth and well-planned development, may be just like so many other over-commercialized areas of the country. Biology and conservation in River Valley, my whole life, never failed to remind my students what a beautiful place they live. Appreciate, not let anything happen to it. Zoning change could have implications, that are countywide, and I see more problems coming to the board in the future. We ask that the proposal go back to zoning for more discussion.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, you've heard the pros and the cons. What's your pleasure out there?
Mr. Chairman, the motion is to refer to committee.
There's no motion yet.
I see.
Linda did not make a motion. You did make a motion?
Motion and second.
Okay, there's no second. We have a second, okay. All right, we do have a motion and a second to refer the matter back to committee, thereby postponing for a future meeting, county board. Okay? Yes, Mrs. Leslie.
May I ask a clarifying question of Mr. Mckinley?
May.
Okay, so from what I'm understanding, this isn't changing any of the practice that we've had so far, other than if somebody wants to have one of these Airbnbs or VRBOs, they would have to apply for a conditional use permit. We haven't had that previously, is that correct?
We have had conditional use. Yeah, we've been doing this in the past, it's that it's not defined recreational rental as per the one. I mean, like I said, there's bed and breakfasts in that, so it's like a similar use. But now it's being defined as that specific term definition.
So this does not have any bearing on the process, it's simply a language clarification, right? Understand that, thank you.
Okay, we have a motion to postpone, send back to committee. Is it necessary? I don't know. Only listening. So I'm gonna call a vote on the motion to postpone, send back to committee and reconsider this in the future. Possibly, committee brings it back to us. Date. So all those in favor of the motion to postpone, refer to committee, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Okay, we'll have to have roll call.
Okay, so just to clarify, we're voting yes, you will postpone, refer back to committee, and no, we will not do that. So I will start with Glassberger.
No.
Ruderstorm,
Yes.
Gentis,
Yes.
Turk,
No.
Cosgrove, Frank,
Didn't get it, Bob.
no,
Thank you.
Severson,
No.
Williamson,
No.
Dewey? Fleming?
No.
Voice?
Yes.
McGuire?
I need clarification. No means what? Yes,
A no means we don't want to send it back to committee. We'll be voting on it tonight. A yes means it gets postponed, sent back to committee.
I vote yes.
Carroll?
No.
Murphy Lopez?
Mr. Chair, I need to abstain from this. I have a personal interest in this topic.
Brewer?
See, I'm confused. I want to vote on the motion tonight, so I'll vote no.
C.
Aye.
McKee?
Yes.
Renish?
No.
Luck? Manny? And Gatchel? Thirteen no's, the motion to postpone fails.
Motion to postpone fails, therefore, we have a motion on the floor then to amend the ordinance on zoning. All those in favor of the proposed amendment signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed?
No.
The motion. One no.
Mr. Chair, my vote could also, if it could be noted, I'm abstaining from this as well, please.
Okay. Please note that.
Got it.
Does anyone, I don't think we need a roll call here, but does anyone call for one? All right, the motion, the ordinance passes. The ordinance is amended. Bad word to use because we're talking about an amendment. It is changed. The zoning ordinance has changed. And really what this does, I think it accomplishes something for everyone because it puts it back to the townships. And when they make a change, conditional use, they have to send out notices to certain property owners. So there'll be due process, ample opportunity. Thank you. A good discussion. Number 9, an ordinance relating to a parcel belonging to Kurt and Nancy Mellon in the town of Richland. Mr. Kalish.
So the ordinance number 22-5, amendment number 547 to Richland County zoning ordinance number 5, that the following described 29-acre parcel belonging to Kurt and Nancy Mellon in the town of Richland is hereby rezoned from general agricultural and forestry district AR to the agricultural and residential AR district. This ordinance shall be effective July 19 of 2022 and is being offered to by the Land and Zoning Standing Committee.
Thank you. You've heard the ordinance. What's your pleasure? Ms. Luck, seconded by Mr. Seed. Mr. Bindle, background.
The background on this parcel is that it was split from a parcel as larger a long time ago. It's a non-conforming parcel. Elms bought it and wants to do that house and wants to bring.
Okay. You've heard the background, the ordinances before us. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? The ordinance is adopted. Number 10, an ordinance relating to a parcel belonging to Robert and Patricia Grimm in the town of Orion. Mr. Kalish.
This will be ordinance number 22-6 and amendment number 548 to zoning ordinance number 5, that the following described 2.5 acre parcel belonging to Robert and Patricia Grimm in the town of Orion is hereby rezoned from general agriculture and forestry district and the single family residential R2 district to the single family residential R2 district. This ordinance shall be effective July 19 of 2022 and is being offered to you by the Land and Zoning Standing Committee.
You've heard the ordinance. What's your pleasure? Mr. Williamson makes the motion, seconded by Mr. McKee. Background, Mr. Bindle.
Background on this parcel that it's part of the property was zoned residential along when the town adopted it. but it doesn't not here for the whole lot. So part of it's going part of it's only residential or residential. Where they're rezoning it. They won't build a house.
Okay, you've heard the background. What's your pleasure? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, the ordinance is adopted. Number 11, an ordinance relating to a parcel belonging to Elaine Hendricks and Greg Rugbold in the town of Aiken. Mr. Kalish.
This will be ordinance number 22-7, amendment number 549 to Richland County zoning ordinance number 5. So the following described 40-acre parcel belonging to Elaine Hendricks and Greg Ronholt in the town of Aiken is hereby rezoned from general agricultural and forestry district to the agricultural and residential district. This ordinance shall be effective July 19 of 2022 and is being offered to you by the Land and Zoning Standing Committee.
You've heard the ordinance. What's your pleasure? Ms. Gentis, seconded by Mrs. Rudersdorf. Do we have background?
Background on this parcel is 40 acres, but there's just plain the house and buildings. It's going to be a 30-acre parcel, but an acre parcel being named, so that's why it's for 40 acres. That's reason.
Okay, you've heard the background. We have the ordinance before us. All those in favor of adoption signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, the ordinance is adopted. Number 12, an ordinance relating to a parcel belonging to Stephanie Shabaya in the town of Dayton. Mr. Kalish.
This will be ordinance number 22-8 and amendment number 550 to Original County zoning ordinance number 5. That the following described 9.1 acre parcel belonging to Stephanie Shabaya in the town of Dayton is hereby rezoned from general agricultural and forestry district to the agricultural and residential district. This ordinance shall be effective July 19 of 2022. Is being offered to you by the Land and Zoning Standing Committee.
You've heard the ordinance. What's your pleasure? Mr. Cooley, seconded by Ms. Fleming. Background on this, Mike?
The first thing I like to know is that the typo, it's a town employee.
Ah,
My mistake.
okay, we can, Attorney Wendell, can we accept that as a typo? Attorney Wendell,
Yes, I don't see any issue with that.
this is an ordinance, so we're changing Dayton to Orion. Did you say Orion? Yeah, okay. All right, we'll accept it as a typo.
The background on this parcel is that it was a larger parcel at the time. First got split up, and the house was never rezoned. Those were all within the house, but now we have a new description of what that means. Which would be going from zoning.
Okay, let's just catch up, basically. You've heard the ordinance, you've heard the background. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? The ordinance is adopted. I guess number 13 has been stricken. Didn't notice that when I called for the agenda approval. So that brings us down to 14. The report of petitions for zoning amendments received since the last county board session. Mr. Bindle.
Nothing for rezoning for next month.
All right, how about rezoning petitions recommended for denial by zoning and land?
Nothing's been denied.
Thank you. Number 16, a resolution creating an ad hoc committee to develop a referendum question. Mr. Kalish.
Okay, this will be resolution number 22-74. Be it further resolved, the Finance and Personnel Committee may make recommendations on membership appointments, but that all county board members are to be appointed by the county board chair, with other appointments made by the county administrator, and all appointments confirmed by the county board. Oh, I'm sorry, went one paragraph down. So let me start over, guys. Now therefore be it resolved by the Richland County Board of Supervisors that a referendum ad hoc advisory committee is hereby created with the composition of the committee of 7 people being as follows. County board members, there will be 5 appointments. There will be 1 local area school board member, and then 1 City of Richland Center council member. Be it further resolved, the Finance and Personnel Committee may make recommendations on membership appointments, that all county board members are to be appointed by the county board chair with other appointments made by the county administrator and all appointments confirmed by the county board. Be it further resolved that the assistant administrator shall provide administrative support to the committee in completing its tasks. Be it further resolved that the duties of the referendum ad hoc committee are as follows. Number one, develop and recommend a referendum question or questions to the Finance and Personnel Standing Committee. Number two, work with administration staff on developing cost estimates for the levy limit exemption. Number three, work with the administration staff on developing a public education plan. Number four, make a recommendation on time of placing the question or questions on a ballot for electoral consideration. And number five, make a recommendation on outcomes of a failed referendum. Be it further resolved, confirmed committee members will be eligible for per diem and mileage payments in accordance with the county board rules. Be it further resolved that this resolution shall be effective immediately upon its passage and publication, and this resolution is being offered to you by the Finance and Personnel Standing Committee on July 13 of 2022.
You've heard the resolution. What's your pleasure? Motion by Williamson, seconded by Glassbender. The motion is before us. I will offer an amendment. Instead of a city of Richland Center council member, the representative from the city will be the city of Richland Center mayor.
I'll second that motion to amend.
Thank you. So let's vote on that amendment, shall we? So instead of a council member, the mayor says, I want to be on the committee. So I acquiesce to his wishes. All those in favor of this amendment signify by saying aye. Aye. Mr. Langrick, I believe you had another amendment.
Coming from conversations with the committee, having a proposed recommendation is brought forward from Corporation Council to amend underneath the be it further resolved that gives the duties to the ad hoc committee, bullets number 2 and bullets number 3 to state work with administration, insert relevant committee and staff on developing the cost estimates for the levy limit exemption. And then under bullet 3, the same insertion of a relevant committee to work with administration, relevant committee and staff on developing a public education plan. Mr. Chair.
All right, and I'll ask for an explanation right away. Did you mean standing committee?
It wouldn't be standing committee specific because we do have, I think, one, we're asking like a city ad hoc committee. Okay, I don't think that they're all necessarily standing committees. So it's relevant committee inferring the standing committees on most of those decisions.
Did we have a second to,
Mr.
we need that as an amendment?
I'll make a motion to amend, to insert the word committees plural between administration and staff.
Okay. Second?
Have we received, an opinion from council on this?
Yes.
The question was, if we
Something
received,
in writing, or has he been made aware of this?
that it was a recommendation actually from Corporation Council.
I will second it.
Okay, Mr. Williamson seconds and insert the word committees. All those in favor of this amendment signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Oppose, all right, and that amendment. Anything else? Attorney Wendell,
Yes, sir.
do make a comment. There was a question from the floor by Supervisor McGuire, wondering if you had looked at this and had made suggestions.
The amendment just voted on was actually at my recommendation. In understanding that at some point, the committees will be directed to review for various purposes. I wanted to ensure that the ad hoc committee was directed to take the committee's input into consideration, and I felt that this was an appropriate place to do so.
Makes sense to me. Thank you. Thank you, Attorney Wendell. Yes, Mr. Severson.
Mr. Chairman, I was wondering where the concept of local area school board member come from. Like, that option, I was thinking it could be like a town or representative from township. I just was curious, not saying yea or nay. Where do we come up with the local school board member? And then, is that local school board member, does that call him to like be in Riverdale, and Kickapoo, and Ithaca, Weston? That all, because they come in.
Good question. Someone want to answer that?
I can speak to that effect. So we arrived at having school board as idea brought forward to the committee from myself. The idea is to have some type of representation that can understand overlapping tax districts. It's kind of where we got it. Be as better served by a township member, it potentially could be. The idea though is also with having somebody from a school there, they might have an idea of who might be going to referendum for a school. Because the timing of when the referendum for us is going to happen also depends on if there's a school referendum. Proposal coming as an appointment for confirmation consideration later this evening is a school board member from locally from Richland Center. Does that answer your question, Supervisor Severson?
Or any other comments?
Mr. Chair, can I ask a follow-up question on that?
Yes.
Does that person represent, I don't quite know how the districts work with within the Richland school districts. Does that person represent a rural or an urban or both area of the Richland school district?
And I can't answer that. I don't know the answer. We do have a name for appointment. I think he's an at-large member of the school board, if my memory serves.
I don't know what his role is with the school board and what capacity or representative demographic association.
I guess the desire to put a school board member on this committee was kinda to get their expertise on referendums, because schools do referendums frequently. And the county has never done one, to the best of my knowledge, so we kind of wanted to get an expert.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
since I respect the concern of doubling up on referendums on the ballot. And since Richland Center School District is by far the largest in the county, I would like to offer an amendment to kind of answer Gary's concern that we don't know where they're coming from. Offer an amendment that the school board member should come from Richland School District.
Okay, do we have a second to that? McKee. All right, we'll vote on the proposed amendment that the school board member come from the Richland School District. All those in favor of this amendment signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay, we have the amendment. Anything else? We will be announcing the makeup of the names a little bit further down the agenda. If your name is going to be announced, you know it, because you've been asked. And you've agreed. It could be like, well, it's not going to be easy. Okay, we have the resolution to create an ad hoc committee to develop a referendum question. All those in favor of the resolution signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay, we have an adopted resolution and a new committee. Number 17, a resolution relating to PSAP grant funding.
That's the one.
Oh, yes, we did 17. Number 18, resolution approving the Land Conservation Department to enter into a contract with the Hub Rock Sanitary District and Engine Creek Farming LLC. Mr. Mckinley.
This will be resolution number 22-76. Now therefore be it resolved by the Richland County Board of Supervisors that the county board hereby approves the contract with Hub Rock Sanitary District and Engine Creek Farming LLC. And be it further resolved that the county conservationist Kathy Cooper is authorized to sign the contract. Be it further resolved that the county board authorizes payment to the contractor once the project is complete and Hubbard Sanitary District has given the funding to Richland County. And be it further resolved, this resolution shall be effective immediately upon its passage and publication. This resolution is being offered to you by the Land and Zoning Standing Committee.
You've heard the resolution. What's your pleasure? Mr. Turk, seconded by Mrs. Rudersdorf. Someone want to comment on this? It's Kathy, I don't think, are you?
I'm online.
Please, go ahead.
This is, the Hub Rock Sanitary District has to reduce the amount of phosphorus coming out of their sanitary system, or they have to do trading, and this is a trading project. It's been in the works for a couple years now, and they're finally ready to go. The project's been designed, and they're finally ready to go ahead on doing some stream bank protection on 4 sites on this Engine Creek LLC. And the final thing is we have to act as the broker. There's no county money involved. It's just kind of a pass through, and we're ensuring that we will periodically check, like after a big storm event, we'll probably have to go out and check it, make sure that it's still there. So that's what this is about.
Thank you. Anything else, anyone? All those in favor of the resolution approving the Land Conservation Department to enter into this contract signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? The resolution is adopted. Number 19, resolution approving payment to Richland County Snowmobile Alliance from the 2021-22 Snowmobile Maintenance Grant. Mr. Kalich.
This will be resolution number 22-77. Now therefore be it resolved by the Richland County Board of Supervisors that approval is hereby granted to pay a bill from the Richland County Snowmobile Alliance for $25,512.50 for grooming and non-grooming hours through the 2021-2022 Snowmobile Maintenance Grant. Be further resolved that this resolution shall be effective immediately upon its passage and publication. And this resolution is being offered to you by the county board members of the Fair Recycling Parks and Standing Committee.
You've heard the resolution. What's your pleasure? Mr. Severson, seconded by Mr. Williamson. We do this every year, don't we, Karen?
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Question, Mr. Chair.
Yes, Mr. Turner.
Why is the amount in the now paperwork being resolved different from the one up in the whereas?
Typo on my part. I'm sorry. It should be what's in the bottom one. It should be the $25,512.50.
Mr. Wendell, can we accept this as a typo?
Yeah, it's been addressed on the record, so as long as it's, yes, you can accept it.
Okay, as long as we're on the record, thank you, sir. Okay, all those in favor of the resolution signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? The resolution is adopted. A resolution number 20, approving the Department of Health and Human Services applying for and accepting a 2023 Section 5310 Vehicle and Operating Grant. Mr. Kalish.
This will be resolution number 22-78. Now therefore be it resolved by the Richland County Board of Supervisors that approval is hereby granted to the Aging and Disability Resource Center of the Department of Health and Human Services to apply for and accept a 2023 Section 5310 Vehicle and Operating Grant from the Wisconsin Department of Transportation in the amount of $30,087.84. Be it further resolved that the grant requires a 50% minimum county match, which can be either case and or in-kind funding, which will be accomplished by Section 85.21 non-federal transportation funds, indirect costs supported by Health and Human Services Fund number 56. Be it further resolved that approval is hereby granted for the grant funds to be spent in accordance with the terms of the grant, and the Director of Health and Human Services, Ms. Tricia Clements, is authorized to sign on behalf of the county any documents necessary to carry out the resolution. Be further resolved that the resolution shall be effective immediately upon its passage and publication, and this is being offered to you by the county board members of the Health and Human Services and Veterans Standing Committee.
You've heard the resolution. What's your pleasure? Mrs. Rudersdorf and Ms. Fleming. The resolution is before us. And Representative Blubertons is here to talk about it, maybe, or answer the question. It's pretty cut and dry, I think. Mr. McGuire's being gallant and languishing his microphone.
So I guess the one point that I would make is that we would not be asking for additional tax levy for this. The 50% match would be actually the in-kind from our 8521 transportation grant that we get each year.
Thank you. A no-brainer.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I just want to make a clarification too, that we did have a forum with, because it looks like we don't on our voting there, but that is with citizen members, we did have a forum.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, that's a good point. Thank you. Thank you for that. All right, so we had a quorum, committee moved it to us, and it's up to us, so. Are you in favor? If so, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? The resolution is adopted. Number 21, a resolution shifting committee responsibilities for Richland County's comprehensive plan. Mr. Kalish.
This will be resolution number 22-79. Now therefore be it resolved that the committee body structure document is amended to shift responsibility for Richland County's comprehensive plan from the Land and Zoning Standing Committee to the Rules and Strategic Planning Standing Committee. And be it further resolved that the Rules and Strategic Planning Standing Committee shall develop a scope, budget, and list of all potential contractors to update the county's comprehensive plan. And be it further resolved that this resolution shall be effective immediately upon its passage and publication. And this is being offered to by the Rules and Strategic Planning Standing Committee.
You've heard the resolution. What's your pleasure? Mr. McKee, seconded by Mr. Carroll. Somebody want to comment? Sean, perhaps?
Sure. So we have been talking about updating our comprehensive plan. In our strategic plan, we have that set as a goal. The Land and Zoning Committee, I worked with Supervisor Luck to make sure that that committee was okay with this responsibility being shifted from their committee to the Rules and Strategic Planning Standing Committee. And according to the minutes and according to her, they did say that that was okay. And then I think the idea here is that a comprehensive plan covers many different topics, not just topics which are in the Land and Zoning Committee. So in the third whereas on the resolution, you can see all the issues that a comprehensive plan covers: housing, transportation, utilities, community facilities, agriculture, natural and cultural resources, economic development, intergovernmental cooperation, and land use. So all other departments and committees that already have a plan, those stay with those departments and committees. The comprehensive plan is a repository for all of those plans, and it is supposed to be an umbrella over all of them.
Thank you. All right, you've heard the reason. We have the resolution. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay, the resolution is adopted. Number 22, a resolution encouraging county board supervisors to attend the WCA conference, the Wisconsin Counties Association Conference. Mr. Kalish.
This will be resolution number 22-80. Now therefore be it resolved that all county board supervisors are encouraged to attend the WCA annual conference for education and networking purposes. And be it further resolved that those wishing to attend shall contact the county clerk by July 31st to take advantage of the early bird registration rate. Be it further resolved that this resolution shall be effective immediately upon its passage and publication. And this is being offered to you by the Rules and Strategic Planning Standing Committee.
You've heard the resolution. What's your pleasure? Ms. Luck, seconded by Mr. Williamson. This is a good thing, and I urge you all to sign up. And first-year board members are paid for by the counties association, so I believe. Is that right? So, Sean Murphy Lopez, say more, please.
We did a review of other counties and how many Supervisors typically go, it looks like about a quarter to a third of county board members from other counties of our size and type usually go. So I think in the past, it's been about 2 people. I've never been myself before, but I am going to sign up with the clerk to have them submit my registration for this. And
This year's conference is in,
it's in the Dells, starts on Sunday, September 18th and ends on Tuesday, September 20th, but those are not 3 full days. Monday's a full day, but Sunday and Tuesday are partial days. So it'd be great, I think, if we could get maybe at least 5 people
and
to go. From the
what would the county pay for?
So the county pays for the registration fee, unless you're a newly elected county board member, and then that fee is waived by the counties association. And then Richland County also pays for mileage, lodging, and per diem. And at next month's Rules and Strategic Planning Committee, we're going to have on the agenda, what does per diem mean for conferences and other committees? So that is maybe a little vague at this point, but we are looking forward to talking about that, trying to come up with a solution.
We haven't been active in the counties association. We're trying to take a more active role so they know what we're about, what we feel, and what we think they should do for us. But we can't tell them anything unless we go. Gary Severson?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I do appreciate Vice Chair and yourself for your comments, but I would urge my colleagues not to support this. We're in a financial crisis right now. We're wanting to sell public land, county park system. Not give any money to Simons for health and well-being of our citizens. This is not a non-mandated conference to go to, and I feel that if supervisors really do want to go to this, each get a chance to have per diem. They can use those per diem dollars to pay for this.
Thank you, Supervisor Severson. Mr. Seavey?
I didn't raise my hand, but I'll be happy to speak as you know. I can understand Mr. Severson's concern for diligence with respect to finances. But I think it's very important that county board members have an opportunity to interface with other counties throughout the state and to learn from them. This is an educational process, not only for county board members, but for our administrator. Keeping this in mind is that the county board members are essentially volunteers. The compensation for county board members here is rather limited and penurious. So I don't think it's going to bust the county or the budget to send 4, 5, or 6 members to, if they want to go to the WCA convention or conference. And especially, I think it's important for new members, of which the registration fees are waived by the WCA. I support this. I don't think anybody's going to take advantage of the county. Nobody's going to go to jail or go to hell for that. So that's where I stand.
Thank you. Go ahead, Mr. Severson.
I do support attending the Wisconsin County Association, but I feel that it should be out of the supervisors' own pockets since we're in a financial crisis right now. We just need to not spend money and stuff that's benefiting us, but taking away from the public on other aspects. I do encourage people to attend, but just on their own time.
And I would argue that point, that it is benefiting our constituents because we're learning things. We're learning things that we might not know. Mr. McGuire?
Question for Sean. John, what facility is this conference going to be held in?
The Kalahari Resort.
Kalahari?
Kalahari, yeah.
All right, thank you.
Mr. Chair, if I, can I make?
Go
one
ahead.
comment too?
Yes.
Those resolutions are still being considered by the Finance and Personnel Committee. They have not passed out of that committee. So I, as several of you know, have not supported those resolutions. So I do think there are other ways that the county board has kept our budget very reasonable. I know that it's very possible that we will have fewer per diem payments now with our reorganization. So in the past, especially when I first started on the board, I was very concerned about the county board not doing things to benefit themselves when employees weren't getting raises and such. But now that I've been here longer and I see how much time we put into this and how little compensation we get, I think it's fair that we be reimbursed for some of the costs that end up benefiting the people of the county. If we're well-educated county board members, I think that helps Richland County as a whole.
I added to mention. One.
Mr. Steve, go ahead.
I agree with Supervisor Murphy Lopez that the compensation of the county board is low. In fact, it's probably near the lowest in the state. I know it is in southwestern Wisconsin. So certainly, I think that is not an issue. What is really an issue is board education. And I don't think that we should in any way discourage or present an obstacle for people attending these educational meetings.
Thank you. All right, I think we've debated enough.
I just have a rebuttal to Mr. Lippert.
Okay, go
I
ahead.
just want to say that, yes, that they are still, those resolutions are still being discussed, they're still on the table, they still could be passed, our financial considerations that we have, so that's why I just don't want to support this, because those resolutions ultimately could come into effect, that could then take away our public health and recreation for our citizens.
Thank you. All right, the resolution is before us encouraging county board supervisors to attend the WCE conference. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed?
No.
Thank you. Resolution is adopted. A resolution adopting number 23, a resolution adopting a new Richland County policy to include employee participation at the Richland County Fair. Mr. Kalish.
So we resolution number 22-81. Now therefore be it resolved by the Richland County Board of Supervisors that the Richland County policy on employee participation at the Richland County Fair is hereby created. Be it further resolved that a copy of this policy shall be made available in the Richland County Administrator's office and on the Richland County website. Be it further resolved that this resolution shall be effective immediately upon its passage and publication. And this is being offered to you by the Finance and Personnel Standing Committee.
You've heard the resolution. What's your pleasure? Mr. Severson. Mrs. Ruderstorm seconds. Explanation, Carrie, can you fill us in?
Carl's on the beard, she probably on the WebEx, but the thought of this was to have some helping hands at the fair. Right now, there's apparently, well, now we just increased our community membership, but before we just had a low number of people willing to help out at the fair. We just need some help on running events that we have, the gates and picking up trash and all the other stuff. We just have some employees to help set up.
This would allow employees during normal working hours to go over there and put in some time.
That's what I was thinking, and would be used, I believe, Administrator, when you're right, that would come out of that department's budget. They would, since they're normally working that day, they could just flex their work day instead of working in the office or get the fair.
There's three parts to it, if I can comment.
Go ahead.
So, yes, we're all on base here. The first part is you have to have a willing employee from a different department that wants to work at the fair, use their office time out there. The second part, though, is consent from the department head and allowing them to work those hours at the fair and then pay for their compensations at their normal wages on fair-related activities. And then the third element, though, is then the fair coordinator accepting and allowing that employee to work out there underneath potential limitations that they may or may not have. And then also, it's not quite a, the exact hours. It's kind of based on what need is out there. It's anticipated through the fair coordinator. So if Clinton signs up for it, anticipating necessarily to work 8 to 4:30 on Friday, well, that might already be full, but if he still wants to then flex his hours, it may be a later shift of a 4 o'clock until a 12 o'clock thing. So there's some controls to it, but those are kind of the three elements of allowing employee time and from other departments and funding to go and help the fair out. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions? Yes, Ms. Gentis.
I just want to say, when I first came on the board, it was assumed that every board member was going to work at the fair, either taking tickets or being a person that, was a sort of a guard for the displays, and everybody I know worked at the fair. And I know last year Mrs. Call called me, and I worked the Friday night shift, and she said she was having a really hard time getting board members. So I just want to say, I think as part of your commitment that isn't maybe unwritten, that you should all be working some part of the fair as a county board member.
Mr. Williamson, you had a comment?
Under the first, whereas last line, positively impact, and I believe should just probably say positively impact local communities.
I think we can correct that as a typo if you would
Yeah,
add
that was a typo.
Corporation Council.
Mr. Wendell, can we?
Addressing this more as a grammarian.
Grammatical problem. Is it fair? Okay, we'll do that.
You think,
Mr. Severson.
we think that their second coordinator is online. I don't know, if she'd be willing to talk, or if you'd like her to talk, or.
Well, yeah, we'll give her some Carla, if she's on the line. I don't always, I'm sorry, notice everybody in my screen up here is tiny, so I don't have eyes in the back of my head, except when I drive the school bus by, then I do. Carla, are you on the line? Do you want to comment?
I am on the line, and I guess the only thing that I'd like to say is that I hope that the county board does support this resolution. I think that it would show the community and the youth the support from the county board in passing this. So I'm hopeful that you guys can do that tonight for us.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I have a question.
Mr. Seavey, go ahead.
Who will schedule these county employees? Some days you may have a surplus come if they just come voluntarily. What kind of a scheduling system will there be? Will you put in a work order for county employees, or how are you going to do that?
Would you like me to answer that, Mr. Chair?
Carla, please. I think that was directed to you.
So I will be working with the department heads, and we will look at what availability any of their employees have and what needs we have at the fair so that we can staff them appropriately. So we wouldn't just be taking, say, Mr. Kalish out there and not have something scheduled for him to do. So we will be working closely with that so that there isn't wasted time.
So you'll have kind of a job description for Mr. Kalich.
Yep, I will definitely have duties for him that he would need to complete while he's there.
And I can comment personally that Carla is the commander out at the fairgrounds during Fair Week, because I've worked for her out there. And you know what you're gonna do, when to show up and when you're done, so.
So they would report to your office, I presume, and then get a work assignment?
Yes, they would.
Can expound on that if you'd like, Mr. Chair. Have a minute to entertain me.
Go ahead, Administrator Lynn.
So the form that we have, which kind of guides the process, it has, as we talked about, it's got the first section of completed by a requested employee, it has the name of the department. It has then the available date and hours that they're willing to work. It also has a list of duty preferences, and then a section to annotate any types of limitations or accommodations that are needed. It then goes on to the department head that is going to review and potentially approve or deny. It also then makes a comment box there for the department head to also be able to comment on what types of limitations that there may be that they have, as well as any types of instructions specific for the kind of the transfer, if you will. And then it has a section then for the fair coordinator that's going to approve or deny. then get a shift assignment on when the employee will be out there, and also have some section for reporting information on when, where, and who they're going to report to. Is that tease out what you're after, Supervisor Seaver? Thank you.
So I don't think it's not well thought out. It is well thought out, and they can use the help. So, all those in favor of this resolution signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay, you got help at the fair. Number 24, a resolution relating to the county participating in the WISC Investment Fund. Mr. Kalish.
Mr. Chair, this will be resolution number 22-82. It is a little lengthy. I can read this from the now therefore be resolved to the end, but I believe it may be a better use of time for you to review it in your packet as presented, unless you'd like me to read it.
Well, basically, this is changing the way we handle short-term money, and we're gaining better interest than just throwing it in an account.
That is correct. Mr. Chair, if I can comment, this would change if you think of it as our short-term, kind of our checkbook types of funds that we keep liquid, as liquid as we can for paying our different expenditures that are coming through. This would change it from LGI to a PMA securities. And as treasurer even delivered to finance and personnel, we have a slightly better interest rate working with PMA.
Thank you. Okay, gonna make more money on our money. All those in favor signify by saying, oh, yeah, we don't have a first or second. This isn't before us, man. Mr. Severson, seconded by Mrs. Boyce. Okay, we've already had our discussion. So all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay, resolution is adopted. Number 25, appointments to various boards, commissions, and committees.
Mr. Chair, looking today for a motion to confirm County Board Shared Administrators appointments, 2 different committees for considerations, as previously discussed tonight. Recommend our appointments being brought forward for consideration for confirmation for the Referendum Ad Hoc Committee. The 5 members for County Board members, one of whom will serve as chair for the committee to be determined by that committee. The appointments are Sean Murphy Lopez, David Turk, Steve Carroll, Carrie Severson, Bob Frank. Fulfilling the role of a local area school board member, which was, I believe, we amended that to a Richland Center member. I have Aaron Unbehound, who has accepted an appointment, also needing confirmation tonight. And then the amendment from the City of Richland Center council member to mayor, then would be Mayor Todd Coppernall, appointed, then also waiting consideration for confirmation tonight. The other committee that I have for you tonight is Health and Human Services Board, citizen member of Francis Braithwaite. Thank you. Mr. Chair.
Thank you. You've heard the recommended appointments. I will entertain a blanket motion to accept those.
Mr. Chair, I have a question.
Mr. McKee, do I have a second? Ms. Luck, are you seconding?
I will second, and then I have a question.
Then ask your question.
I'm just wondering why there's no female representation of the city.
I don't have an answer.
We don't have an answer.
Names we had worked at may certainly well be appropriate. If there is not action to confirm tonight, maybe bringing it back to another meeting to confirm those appointments. You also have language in the resolution that was adopted tonight that says finance and personnel may make recommendations. So if there's specified recommendations that you feel the administrator and the chair should be considering, you have language for that in the resolution. So.
Mr. Chair, can I ask a question?
Go ahead, Mr. Murphy.
How many people from the county board submitted that they were interested in being on the ad hoc committee?
I don't think anybody submitted interest because they didn't know we were gonna do it.
I thought there was an email that.
I didn't see it.
Did everybody see the email?
There was an email from the administrator's office that chair appointment, the chair has got the right to appoint whoever to this committee. He asks certain members to be held qualified. Or not really qualified, because we know, and I don't think it's, it's racial or anything on behalf, whatever you get.
And there is haste involved here because we wanted to get this before this meeting, get the appointments made so this committee can begin, which will be an arduous process if they're gonna make the deadline of getting it on the first available slot, which is in the fall, I believe. If not, in the spring.
The referendum itself would be presumably if it's for a 2024 referendum to exceed levy limits. The referendum would be in February if there's school board referendums also in that year, otherwise it can be in April. The timeliness then is it requires kind of a backwards planning timeline of getting it through the county board and in October or November type of a timeframe to then be able to get it off to Wisconsin Elections Commissions for approval, so it gets approved to be put on the ballot, then also meeting our Class A notifications, Clerk Kalish of 45 days. It's about 75 days that they recommend that you're making resolution prior to the ballot to be able to make sure it's on.
Yes, last
Chair, a statement or question. Leaving aside any, whether it was biased or not, I wasn't making any comments on that. I guess this brings a deeper or a bigger question of, with the new process of how we're appointing members, whether or not we're going to be notified that there is an available committee and whether or not you're seeking people's interest in serving on that committee. I think you mentioned you didn't believe that people actually even knew that there was this committee if they weren't on finance and personnel. And so I guess that is something that hasn't really been clarified in the process of whether or not people are going to be, county board wide. Are we solicited for interest, or is it just on, your thought process of who might be, a prospective person for it? So I guess I personally think if we're going to continue this process, that there should probably be more notification and asking whether there are people interested or not in serving on these committees.
Thank you for that comment.
Thinking of that, we've got three. Six.
A rule change to what?
Rule change to planning board rule number 6, where it says, planning board chair is charged with making appointments of supervisors to committees. Have to be that, he would have to go through a process, order to.
Right, thank you.
He wouldn't, or he or she did not have that ability. Former Patrick and Green Hat were also planning board chairs.
Thanks. So Supervisor Severson says, I can do it, and I did it, so. We gotta move down the road on this, folks, or we don't do it. And, whether I'm personally in favor of it or not, doesn't matter. I'd like to see the process follow. Mr. McKee, comment?
I think we need to get this done so that we can get this into their work.
You've heard the appointments. I don't think any of those individuals are people that cannot be approached and talked to. And all of the meetings will be open. I'm gonna call for a vote on this. And I'll see if they have to take a roll. All those in favor of this resolution? And that's the appointments is what we're talking about. Because we already passed the resolution. All those in favor of the appointment signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? No. Okay. Well, you're one of the appointments, for God's sake. Okay. Okay, we're getting in the weeds. Reports. Health and Human Services Annual Report and the Administrator's Report. Roxanne is here. And you should all have this.
Perfect, thank you. Good evening. So I'm happy to be here to present our 2021 annual report to you, which was handed out last month for you guys to review. I don't have, because we did give it out last month, I don't have a lengthy report prepared. But with that being said, again, last year was a year that was overshadowed by COVID-19. It's a reminder of the importance of our public health unit and the services that it provides, along with the staff of Health and Human Services and the county across the agency continue to contribute many hours to assist the pandemic. We at Health and Human Services continue to adapt to the ever-changing environment while ensuring that we were providing services to the community in a safe manner. A challenge in 2021 was unfortunately that the agency was not immune to the Great Resignation. We lost 18 staff over the year, and we still continue to have ongoing openings, which has caused major staffing concerns. With the changes, our staff have continued to go above and beyond to help cover services needed. I'm happy to address any questions that you may have. So if you have any questions that arise after the meeting as well, please feel free to reach out to myself or to Tricia Clemens.
Mr. Chair, I have a question.
Yes, go ahead. You may address Roxanne or Tricia.
Thank you. I just noticed throughout the document, there's a lot of how the programs were affected by COVID, and I was just curious how 2022 is looking, going back to more normal.
So we're starting to, we're starting to get back to normal as far as what our services are, but we're still continuing to see impacts from COVID and how we're serving people. But the one nice thing is that our staff has really become our new normal. So they just now have a new way of doing things, and it was a good learning process for us over the last couple of years. It really opened our eyes to new ways of doing things, reaching out to people virtually, talking to people over the phone more. Because we weren't able to do a lot of in-person visits for a while. So it's really actually opened up our service areas and how we can serve people.
And I will say that Health and Human Services conducted a learning session, if you will, today. And I think there were 3 board members present. So shame on you.
It was recorded, so that is something that could be made available to you if you're interested. And if you ever have questions, just feel free to give us a call. And if you have unit-specific questions, whether it be behavioral health or our economic support or child youth services or the EDRC, you can reach out to the managers and Patricia as well. And we're more than happy just to sit down and talk through any concerns or questions you might have.
Mr. Frank has a question.
Quick question for you. So during the COVID scenario and problem, the state made a lot of conditions and changes so that things could be done. Are they lifting those? Are they changing those? Are they keeping those in place, whether it's visitations or how many times you have to see people or contact visits or anything?
So as long as the public health emergency is in effect, a lot of the same conditions apply. So for a lot of, I'll just use the EDRC for an example. A lot of times in the past, we had to meet with people individually to sign documents. Now they can do that over the phone. We would do long-term care functional screens, had to be in person. Now we can do those virtually. So as long as that public health emergency continues, we're still able to change how we're providing those services to make sure that needs are being met in the community.
Thank you. Mr. Chair?
Yes, Mr. Burton.
I learned before the meeting, talking to Roxanne, that it sounds like we're really low on Meals on Wheels volunteers right now. There were 66 before COVID hit, now there are 10. So if folks know anyone who's willing to volunteer, they pay mileage. Must be a great experience to be able to take meals to seniors in our community. So I hope we can spread the word in the community.
I understand some of the corporations, businesses in town are stepping up.
Yes, we did hire an LTE employee recently who's working 16 hours per week, 8 hours for nutrition, and then 8 hours in the EDRC. One of her primary goals is to go out and recruit new volunteers for the meal programs. So she's working now with our local industries.
Yes, my wife works in Shriners. She said they're they notified employees, so they're doing it. Anyone else? Any questions?
Thank you.
Thank you. Administrator Langren, do you have any comments for us?
Just for brevity's sake, please keep on your calendar Wednesday, the 27th at 1 PM, at least the next Finance and Personnel Committee meeting. Planning on using this room here. So you can't get this, will be the county board meeting. Agenda should be out here shortly. Reminder that Public Works from last week was canceled. It was on the 20th, tomorrow at 4 PM. And then, as we already discussed, Wisconsin Counties Association Conference, 18th through the 20th at Common. Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. And Derek, do you have any comments on forms or where to get them, or I know you have to have them by the end of the.
I need them by July 31st as indicated on the resolution. The forms, I can get them to you if you don't have them, but they are available if you Google Wisconsin Counties Association, or if you need me to send one, I'm happy to do that. And if you have any questions on the registration process, please let me know. I will be using our new P cards to secure the reservation. So again, getting those to me as the time indicated is much appreciated. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Any correspondence to share? Brings us down to item. Yes, Mr. Severson.
One correspondence, and we'll probably address it at the next 24 meeting, which I know that we will. To let supervisors know, that former supervisor Carol Claus has passed away.
Yes. Thank you. 93 years old. Okay, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn, and I'll remind you of the finance meeting on Wednesday at 1 o'clock. Motion? Mr. Frank, seconded by Mr. Cooley. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? We are adjourned.